LGB. 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 LGB.
They say LGB everywhere I go. LGB, what it means, I don't know. LGB, whatever it is. LGB, Kamala, help me, please.
Alrighty then.
I like you. LGB.
Let's go, Brandon, right?
LGB.
This means let's go, Brandon.
No. LGB.
Sounds like let's go, Brandon, I guess.
LGB. All right. Let's go, Brandon.
I am Cornholio.
Chant. LGB. Right wing and left wing. LGB. Go, you know the thing. LGB. If you don't sing that back. LGB. And you ain't black. LGB.
Let's go, Brandon.
LGB.
Let's go, Brandon.
LGB. Let's go, Brandon.
FJB. Let's go, Brandon.
C&E presents the No BS Show. With your hosts, Chris Mines and Doug Dock. It's the No BS Show. Take it away, guys.
And that we will.
All right. First off, I want to thank all our veterans out there. Without you guys, we can't do shows like this that are in jeopardy. I want to thank our military serving overseas and homeland. I want to thank our first responders, police, fire, EMS, doctors, nurses, especially you guys in these times, and tow truck drivers. I can only imagine they've been pretty busy the last week.
Yeah, for real.
And remember that, just real quick, you know, it was 5 degrees at night, wind chills down 10 below and that, and them guys are out there, they still work. So we got a special guest on tonight, DJ Swearingen, State Representative for this area in Sandusky, Ottawa, and Erie, Sandusky, Ottawa counties, I believe it is. DJ, he won't have video, but he'll be on voice.
Right, there we go.
So how you doing, DJ? There he is. You there, DJ?
Can you hear us?
Maybe. Yes, Dean, Henry. It was a little rough today.
All right. He's having a little bit of trouble with getting the feed.
Is he?
Yeah. We're gonna take you off just for a few minutes. You can do what you need to do, and we'll bring you back on. Talk about a couple of things here. One thing is Ohio Strong is our hashtag tonight.
Ohio Strong.
Yeah.
Hashtag Ohio Strong. Yeah, Dean, it wasn't too bad. I was a little sore I got tripped last night by Kevy Jacobs.
Yeah.
We won't go into last night, Dean. How's that? But listen, we got DJ on today. We're gracious, for the time on a Sunday evening. He's taken from his family. As soon as he gets squared away, he's coming on. He wants to talk about a couple different things, and one we were just talking a little bit. Made in America, made in the United States, bringing jobs, manufacturing, everything back in the States. There's no reason, like he just said, and he'll tell you, there's no reason we should depend on, chips for the cars. Look at the car lots are still empty.
Yes, they sure are.
And if, it reminded me, wasn't that supposed to be all fixed by November?
Yeah.
I'm just asking for a friend. for someone in the chat room. But the other thing, remember, people, we don't care what you say in that chat room. Facebook does.
Sure do.
Chaz Clark got 3 days in the hole last week, right out of the room. There he is. DJ, can you hear us?
Yeah, much better.
Perfect.
Hello.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah, I was it was like slow motion speaking. I couldn't understand what you guys were saying there for a second. So all good now on my
It could be
All
us.
right.
We had a banquet last night, so it could be us talking like that.
Yeah, well, yeah, that could be me. So DJ, we really appreciate your time tonight. Ohio State Representative, you're up for re-election again, correct?
Yeah, this year it's every, in the Ohio House, it's every 2 years. This year it's kind of, we're in an interesting situation where they're redrawing the maps. So the maps got drawn September, October. There was an appeal to the Ohio Supreme Court over the maps. The Ohio Supreme Court made the redistricting commission go back to the drawing board. So new maps were just submitted again yesterday. I'm sure those are going to get appealed again to the redistricting commission. But under the new maps, I've got Erie, Ottawa, and part of Huron County. So really happy with that district. Know a lot of people in all three counties. And I mean, that'd be a fantastic district to represent. We'll see what the court says. At this point, for me, it's just kind of like, hey, tell me what the rules are and let's go win this thing. I just want a district to represent and do my job.
You're in Erie, Ottawa, and Sandusky right now, isn't it?
Right now, it's just Erie and Ottawa.
Oh, okay.
And I wouldn't pick up all of Huron County. It'd be part of it. Yeah. And then Dick Stein would have part of it. I would have the more rural parts of Huron County, and then he would have Norwalk and Townsend Township. So very, very familiar with those parts of Huron County, and would be excited to represent them if the maps hold. We'll see what happens.
So moving forward, in a sense, we can blame the pandemic for a lot of stuff, which we can. The handling of some things from the governor, the way the president's going on it, we can blame that. But you hit a key point when we were talking offline. It's time we start making our own stuff in the United States again. And I believe that no truer statement could be made, when you brought that up. But what plans would the Ohio House have with you being, I'm going to say you being reelected, because we're gonna assume that, Doug. We're gonna push for it, but I
appreciate it.
You get reelected and you're back in, and the next 2 years, what's the House going to do in the Senate? I know you can't control the state Senate, but what are they going to do? What's our plan in Ohio?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think it starts by saying there's a lot of politicians out there that they know how to talk, but they don't know how to act. And I think you judge a politician by what you're able to get done. So actually, just as a good example, we'll get into going forward, but just a brief kind of overview of what we've been up to the last year or so. We had one of the constitutional requirements of the legislature is that we pass a state operating budget every 2 years. That's literally the only thing constitutionally required of us. So as long as we get that done, we've met our constitutional duties. So in this past budget, we had a record income tax cut, which is attractive across the board, both to businesses and Ohioans. We had a balanced budget. In Ohio, our budget is required to be balanced, constitutionally speaking, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. Ohioans' budgets, their household budgets are You know, if you're not balancing your household budget, you're going to get in trouble. And I don't think the government should be any different, in my opinion. You see some of the out of control spending in other states and DC. And I think going forward in future budgets, we need to rein that in too. And there's more we can cut. But we did include some provisions in there, some tax incentives and other things to make Ohio a little more attractive for businesses who are looking to reshore and build here. And I think a good example of that was the news this past week that Intel is going to put down the largest chip manufacturer in Logan County, Ohio. It's the largest chip manufacturer in the world. So that's a win. And that's going to hopefully parlay out into the rest of the state in terms of vendors and contracts and everything like that with Intel. So that's a good example. And we were able to get that provision in the budget to make Ohio more attractive. But really, it comes down to a lot of different things. Education's a big one. When I went down to Columbus, one that was big for me was, you talk to some area employers or different, different businesses in the community. And I'm sure you've all seen all the help wanted signs. It's like, where are all the people that do the work? And really that starts in our education system. When you look at it, what are we doing to get kids the skill sets for the jobs that are in demand and that we need going forward? Back many years ago, you'd have shop class in high schools, and kids would actually learn, skills that they could implement in real life. And I think it's important to continue forward with that. So we did a bill, Senator Bill Reineke and I, that gives employers tax credits and schools credit for sending students to some of these employers where they can, obviously you got to get the basics down, right? You got to be able to read, write, and do arithmetic. But, if you go to one of these employers and and your school teams up with them, they get a tax credit and you can continue getting credit as a school for that student. So that's a big deal. Hopefully, that keeps kids in our communities. We want to keep them here. We don't want them going to Chicago or New York City or Cleveland, or we want them to stay here in Erie and Ottawa counties. So hopefully that helps out a little bit. The other thing too, what about our traditions and customs as Americans? And are they learning that? Are they learning those values in school? Hard work, entrepreneurship, how to balance your own pocketbook, like I kind of spoke about earlier. So we did a bill recently got passed requiring financial literacy in high schools. I mean, do you know what an asset is? Do you know what a liability is? Do you know what a savings account? Do you know how a mortgage works? Just very basic stuff that,
they don't know.
Kids are missing. And it's so vital to you being a good citizen in our society, just getting some of those basics down, showing up to work with your shirt tucked in on time. I mean, that's just stuff that, we need to be teaching our kids, and it should start in your home life, quite frankly, in my opinion. Your mom and dad should be teaching you that stuff. But if they're not, we need to be reiterating that kind of thing in schools with our, traditions and customs in America, and pass those down to the next generation. So get these kids, get their faces out of the phones and off of TikTok and all that stuff, and get them learning some financial literacy, get them a job. Just you guys are aware of the value of a hard day's work and how far that goes.
Responsibility. And one question real quick.
Sure.
Bronson Township, I think that would be covered by Stein, even with the redistricting, wouldn't it? So close to Norwalk or Monroeville.
Townsend Township would be the one that Stein would keep, but I would have all the other stuff.
Okay, all right.
So
there you go, Tammy. The other thing, DJ, is we've been talking. Actually, Doug brought up that bill last week or 2 weeks ago, I think it was the bill you guys last week. Doug, you brought up they were passing a financial act bill or whatever.
Yeah, for the schools. Yeah,
for the schools, and we've been talking about this.
Yeah.
for months now that shop class, home economics, different stuff. Kids come out of school, they don't even know how to cook.
Right.
They can't even make macaroni and cheese in a microwave sometimes, and
Yeah.
you're right. I believe that starts at home, but things are different now than when we were all kids. I mean, you had to work,
Yeah.
your parents didn't just, you had to work in the summer
Yep.
jobs. And the problem I see, and I'm glad that you guys are heading in this direction, DJ, is the problem that I see and I've bitched about is, you're right. We took everything out of schools, and we push more. I don't know what the hell school systems are pushing for anymore, DJ. Every week we find
We're not allowed. We're not allowed in there.
Yeah, you'll get
Yeah,
banned.
we're not allowed to go see, but yeah, but they we don't teach them. College is great. Don't get me wrong. Go get a college education, but college isn't for everybody.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody, and there's very high paying jobs out there right now that we can't fill in the construction industry. Union operators, laborers, non-union, it doesn't matter. They're paying great money, and we can't. And then if you do find someone, they don't, like you said, they don't want to show up on time, or gotta go home and play chitty chitty bang bang on the computer because they got a group war at 5 o'clock tonight.
Yep.
But we allow that to stay in our kids' lives, but Pepe Le Pew's got to come out.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think too, part of it is, how do you teach these students at a young age in either elementary school, junior high, or high schools, primary education years? How do you empower them, to run their own lives and run their families successfully? And my whole thing, obviously, I'm Republican, but I want to empower people to be successful on their own. I don't want people dependent on a government system or program or anything like that, because, quite frankly, I get people, they're down on their luck. Sometimes they need that. But, to live off of that for your life, that's no way to live. I want people to be able to experience, true freedom with their family and be able to be self-sufficient and just kind of realize the value of, an honest day's work, whatever that may be, whether that's on the construction site, which is great, plumbing, you hit on all the trades there, Chris, or maybe it might be behind a desk, or, a doctor or whatever, but whatever it is, you're ready to take that step. And there's part of me that starts to think the people that don't want that for our kids don't want it because they want to be able to control them. And that's just wrong. So,
and we're seeing this, and Doug, tell me if I'm wrong. We've touched on this for months, and here I had a long talk. Dean Henry's watching this show, and me and him talked probably an hour the other night about the exact thing he just hit about our welfare systems.
Yeah.
It's there in case you fall on bad times. Family falls on bad times, they need it. Great.
Yeah.
I believe it should be used. But the problem that we've fallen into is family after family, kids growing up, learn the system, go into the system, they're not working, they're on the system. And hell, they're living better than some people working 50 hours a week, and we're teaching kids this is okay. And I'm not saying in general public, families are teaching kids this is okay to live like this. I know I don't care anymore about Democrat, Republican, DJ, that. And I feel both parties got some corruption, and more Democrats got way more corruption and stupidity. And I'm a registered Democrat still, and I, will not vote. But you got to go back and look in the Clinton era, Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Remember when he said you had 3 years to learn a trade if you're in the system? Learn a trade, learn a skill. You had 3 years. You could draw that welfare. You had to learn something within that 3 years, the schooling and everything. And that went away. And I believe, of all people, George W. took that out when 9/11 happened and all that. But I believe something like that. I know you're federally funded, and Rick hits on a good point there. Federal government is working hard to destroy everything that, you were just saying should be. But is there any way Ohio on its own can say, you know what? We don't care what the federal government, this, that, or the other. You got 3 years or you got this amount of time. If you're on the system and you're not working or doing anything, you need to be going to a school, because in that system, they get daycare, DJ. And I can't understand when a person isn't working every day, but their kids are still going to daycare. That just boggles my mind, But, is there any way that the state of Ohio, state legislation and Senate can pass something through like this?
Absolutely. So that's done in the budget. And, like I said earlier, we did some good things in the budget as far as cutting taxes and making sure that it was balanced. But regardless, we have a $75 billion budget in Ohio. I mean, do we really need a $75 billion budget? Now, some of those, like you said, those are federal funds that are going to be allocated regardless.
Right.
But going forward, what can we cut? We need to incentivize getting a job versus staying home. How do we turn those funds off? And earlier this year, I kind of looked at doing some sort of benefits fraud bill where, we cut down on benefits fraud. But my conclusion was, it's kind of like you alluded to, we're better off turning off the spigot than just continuing to spend money trying to police that situation. So, going forward in the budget, we've done some good things, and and just like anything in life, we've done some good things and we've got some improving to do, and we can do that. So, you have to make it difficult on people who are not working. You get your whatever you need in terms of maybe a short-term help. Maybe your loved one or you are sick or disabled. I understand that, but to make it a livelihood in and of itself, that's not what we're here for. So
no, and there's, I honestly believe, I'll say it, you don't say it, I'll say it, but you might agree with me, is our administration in Washington right now is exactly pushing for that. That's what
right.
they want, and
Yep.
that's more votes. It's all.
Well, and we have to do, and at the state level, sometimes you have to say we don't need the funds. I mean, I think we got some more rental assistance money recently, and we're not allocating that. I mean, we need people out there working. And like I said, it kind of is a control thing in terms of, I want to see kids empowered, being productive members of society in terms of, a family, buy a house, live the American dream. And others, they want to control. And I think we saw during COVID, we saw that come out with, okay, so we stopped operations in Ohio for a couple weeks. I get it. We didn't know what the heck we were in for. Right. But as you go on, you can't control people. You can't keep them in their homes away from their other loved ones or working a job or running their own business. I mean, he tried. Yeah, that speaks to, who a person is. That's part of their life that you're taking away at that point. And Chris, where I was at on that.
Yeah, I know. I talked to you. That was with Sandusky Speedway, and just so everybody out there knows, and just because DJ's on here, DJ was a big part. Don't get it wrong. DJ is a big part of the racing industry, along with other industries, but in our racing industry, helping us get that open. I mean, he's went and done some things that, he didn't have to. He could have just said, yeah. I mean, I believe the first time I talked to you, DJ, was 6:00 on a Saturday night through messaging, because I was wound up about some stuff. But you said one of the things we had you on back before your election a couple of years, 2 years ago now, Doug. Going a year and a half. Yeah. And I said it to Mark Paquita when he was on. I said one of the best comments that I ever heard a politician say was when you said, how many people are in your district? 300,000, I think you said.
Don't give me that much credit. It's about 120,000.
Okay, 120. All right, I didn't know. I don't know, but you made a comment. Listen, I'm doing a job interview with 120,000 people, and we're going to see if I pass the interview on election day.
Yeah.
And that's stuck with me, believe it or not, because that's what every politician should look at.
Yeah.
When they get up there, and I know you haven't, or, you know, I'd have told you, but, you know, because I'm too vocal, but they can't forget what's going on, in my opinion, and people out there is you got to vote for guys like DJ, Mark, and these guys, because they don't forget where they come from, and they don't forget who they're representing. And the problem is some politicians get up there and they get, I hate, you know, for a better term, they get bought out and they start representing special interests instead of us, the people.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, Chris, but it's true. I mean, look, you know, I get a salary as being the state rep. Those are taxpayer funds. I mean, I literally work for the people of Erie and Ottawa County. Now, you know, I'm going to discuss with them what they think is best, what I think is best, and we're going to come together and hopefully make the best decision for, you know, for everyone based off of our constitutional principles and our values. But you just can't, like you said, you just can't forget who you work for. And that's the people you represent. So it's a big part, you know, and that's why, you know, during COVID, I just got phone call after phone call of people who, you know, were able not to see a dying loved one, which is just a horrific thing for someone to have to go through. You know, you have someone dying and now you can't even say goodbye. I mean, that's just unbelievable. To people whose businesses were still shut down while other businesses were open. Sometimes they were competitors.
We were in that group.
That's not the state we want to live in. And, you know, there was a lot of pressure to not say or do anything. But at the end of the day, you know, you got to represent the people who sent you there and do the right thing. So, anyways, but, you know, back to making stuff in America, you know, the education, having kids with good educations and good heads on their shoulders, and really most importantly, you know, a sense of dignity and self-respect and willingness to work hard. That's attractive to a number of employers that are either in other countries and want to reshore and come back to the U.S. or Ohio. But also, too, you know, we can't forget, by passing on those kind of values to our kids, we may inspire the next, you know, great entrepreneur. Maybe they start their business here in Erie County, Ohio. I mean, that would be excellent. So, you know, yes, we want to create a great workforce, but I mean, for me, man, how awesome would that be if we can get a kid inspired to come up with a great idea that is a good thing for society, and they start their own business right here in Erie or Ottawa counties. And hey, if I get Huron County, they can start it there too. You know, how awesome would that be? So to continue this, you know, in America, you look back through our history, we have a bunch of rugged, tough individuals who kind of went their own way. And to pass that down to our kids and say, man, if you've got that great idea for the next thing, and society would value it, knock yourself out. That would be awesome too. So, you know, the education is so key, in my opinion. And like I said, in my humble opinion, that starts in your home. But certainly, you know, if you are whether you're getting it at home or not, we do need to make sure our schools are steering you the right direction. So,
how's the school boards going with that? Because, you know, we've our problem on this show has been the direction, and not Ohio so much. Well, Hudson, Ohio is pretty bad. So is Fredericktown, but you know, across the United States, these school boards are doing stuff that, you know, I mean, is Ohio State School Board behind this? Is local school boards?
Yeah, you know, I can't speak for them. I'm just speaking for myself as a policymaker. But when it comes to school boards, I will say they're doing a better job working with people in the community. However, I very much enjoyed the fact that the spotlight has been shown on school boards because, you know, as a policymaker, I value local decision making. You know, you don't want to run into the trap of DC and Columbus making all of the local decisions, right? So to the extent there's a renewed, you know, sense of responsibility over school boards, and who, you know, school boards, it's a very important position in a local community. I mean, you're setting you're hiring the people that are setting the curriculum for your schools. And I think over the last year, we've seen how many people now say, all right, that's something that we need to have the right people in. And I think beforehand, it wasn't given too much thought. Everyone was looking at the president or Congress or whatever, when in reality, some of the decisions that are being made on your local school board, those can have more of an impact on your kids than some of the stuff coming out of DC, to be honest. So, I'm so happy to see that everyone's kind of taking a renewed sense of accountability and responsibility for local school boards, because those local decisions are really important. I mean, they're spending taxpayer dollars as well. They're hiring, and those folks are setting the curriculum for your kids. So that's an important thing to pay attention to.
You're seeing a lot of school board members getting put out, new ones going in because of the good old boy system, I believe. Doug, what do you want? I'm sorry.
Well, here's the issue, and this whole group here has an issue with school boards, because now police are at school board meetings. You need to let them know that you're coming and what you want to talk about before you get there. And it's all over. There are some school boards that are really good in Ohio. They're open and do what they want. But what we're finding is that we don't have any say in what the curriculum is going to be with that school, because we can't get into school board meetings because, well, they're not going to let you say what you want to say.
Right. What say you on that, DJ?
He muted for a minute. Thinking through that. Holy
cow.
Cow.
I think it got muted.
Sorry.
So what about these? And Ohio's got a couple where, like Doug just said, the school board, you got to write in your question, you got to get on the docket and everything else. It's not an open board. And then some of them are going with the old theory of what we've seen out of Washington a few months back, that, if you complain about the mask or the vaccine or anything, you can be, domestic terrorism, that word, was thrown out and shit. But the other thing is the other question that I know is going to pop up about 20 more times because it popped up, your position on the vaccine mandate.
Oh yeah. So let's talk about that. I mean, to me, again, that goes back to control. And we honestly, in the House, we could have done a better job with that. We struggled with that one all summer in 2021. Eventually we got a bill out that gives, it brought exemptions to the point where if your employer, whoever that is, or government agency, whatever, is requiring the vaccine, that you just get a flat opt out. No reason, saying I'm not taking the shot. We included in there prohibition. We banned vaccine mandates, essentially saying you have to get a shot to come into the grocery store. Our big thing was, we're not going to require COVID shot for you to keep your job. We are not going to require the COVID shot for you to get groceries. That is not the society that we want to create. So we got House Bill 218 over to the Senate. Is it a perfect bill? No, it's not. Could it be better? Sure. Is it good for right now? Absolutely. And it is something that we need to pass over on the Senate side. But ultimately, when I looked at this issue with the shot, you talk to a bunch of different folks, and it's clear that the shot does not stop transmission. It can reduce symptoms if you get it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, and look, I take COVID seriously. It's a virus that's out there. But at the end of the day, Ohioans know how to take care of themselves. So I trust my neighbor to protect themselves and others. And that's what it came down to for me, is that, level of trust. So, am I going to require someone to get a shot? No, absolutely not. That's their decision.
It's choice.
So we did pass that legislation. It's pending in the Senate. Took us too long, in my opinion. We should have done that sooner, but and like I said, it's not a perfect bill, but it's a good bill. It will protect people from losing their jobs if it's passed. It'll protect us in Ohio from having to, to show papers for going to Kroger or whatever supermarket you go to, or movie theaters or anything like that. So that, that's the,
like New York City has.
Yes.
Yeah.
New York City has that in place. Yeah.
I have a question on that. Did that bill have anything to do with healthcare workers?
It applied to healthcare workers. Now, there was a carve out in the bill to say that if you worked in the ICU and you were mandated and you wanted to opt out of the shot, you couldn't be fired, but they would have to find equivalent employment for you in the hospital, if you were an ICU worker. So, that ICU worker, they couldn't be required to get the shot, but they might be removed from the ICU work they're doing elsewhere. Now, when it came to the Supreme Court decision that came out recently, was part of it good? Yeah, but I sat there kind of scratching my head because, you have healthcare workers who we trust to make the healthcare decisions for other people, and we're not letting them make their own healthcare decisions.
Right.
It just didn't make any sense. I mean, quite frankly.
And the other thing with that is this bill that's in the Senate now supersedes for Ohio the bill that was passed last February in federal. And that bill, or last March or whatever, Doug, when was it passed?
I don't know, but I'm on the same page here because I was going to ask kind of the same question.
Yeah.
Who's superseding who?
No, so that's a really good question. So actually, here's what could happen. If we pass that bill and if it's law, it's in direct conflict with the mandate from the federal executive branch, and that could set off a whole new string of litigation. Now, usually federal law does trump state law in most circumstances, but there's a legal test for whether or not that's the case. But a lot of other things are reserved to the state. So the litigation would be pretty much over, is this a state issue on which the federal government cannot tread if we pass a law in the legislature saying this is something that shouldn't be forced on people? And then it wasn't, now keep in mind, it was not Congress that passed that law. That it's not a law even, it's a mandate from an executive office. So the new legal question would be, does a state law passed by a duly elected legislature and governor enacted, how does that line up against a federal mandate? We'll see.
We'll see.
I'm a lawyer, but I don't know that I know the answer to that question.
Well, the question, the thing of it is, what people got to understand too is, let's just say this goes through in Ohio. Senate, DeWine signs it, it's law. What people have to understand, when you go into a federal court building, any federal property or anything, that mandate from the federal will still supersede or bypass the Ohio law for the simple fact it's federal property. Am I correct on that?
Can you say that again, Chris? I kind of missed some of that question.
The federal, Biden's administration's put mandates on all federal property and stuff. You have to,
right.
So like the federal building in Cleveland, for example, let's take, or NASA out in Plum Brook, or when you go on them properties, they're owned by the federal government. That would supersede the law of Ohio, and the mandate would be in place on their federal property. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's like that. That is, I'm 99% sure that's the case.
Yeah, and people don't get that because I've already heard people say, "Well, Ohio's passing this; they're going to pass this." It doesn't matter if you're on federal property. It only matters outside of federal property. And then you get into the situation where that administration has said, with Medicare and Medicaid, they're putting harsh restrictions on that for some hospitals and nursing homes, and they're trying to push it through that way. And it's a mess. It's a tangled up mess. And I believe, listen, DJ, I've had the stance from day one. I've gotten vaccinated. I'm vaccinated.
Yeah.
1st April. Booster shot, I don't want nothing to do with it right now. And that's my decision. Doug's not vaccinated. I don't care. It, as you say, if it's a proven, you can catch and transmit coronavirus.
Right.
Doesn't matter if you're vaccinated or not. And the thing of it is, and they even said that, like you said, all it does is relieve the symptoms, supposedly, if you are.
Yeah.
If a person doesn't want the vaccine, then they don't need it.
Well, and my whole thing was, do we want people's livelihoods literally held over them to make this decision? And, my understanding is the technology's been around. They've been researching it. However, it only one of the shots recently got approved by the FDA. So, not that that's a bad thing per se, but we're going to force people to make that type of decision outside of, the decision they would make with their doctor, who knows their medical history, who knows, their file, their medical history, their family history, everything like that. And, we're going to require employment based off of that. It was not something that I could get on board with. And that's why we passed the bill we did. Like I said, I wish it would have been sooner. I wish we wouldn't have, taken so darn long. But it is done now, and I just think we need to be respectful of Ohioans in this situation. So,
and the thing of it is, Doug, I mean, you've talked about this several times. It's about choice to me, and you're right, DJ. It's about, I can't remember who put it up, freedom of choice. Now, when you start, I believe, in my opinion, and you might not disagree with me, but if this was handled way differently, and we said from Pennsylvania Ave, listen, here's what we got, this, that, and the other. It's your choice. This is what it'll do. I believe you would have a hell of a lot more people vaccinated right now.
Well, and I think we talked about this too before, Chris. I think Ohioans, you deserve the truth from your political leaders, and sometimes the truth is, I don't know the answer. Truthfully, I mean, that's really what it is. And I think as we went along in COVID, what got people so upset is they weren't getting a straight shot from their political leaders. There were some things where, it was said as if it was a certainty, right? Like, we know this to be true for sure. Well, then it came out months later, that wasn't the case. So I think it would have just been so much more well received by the general public had our leaders said, hey, we don't know if this works for sure. This is something that we're trying, or, this is a new development in the fight against COVID. We're respectfully asking that you might try this, or you might take care of things this way, and leave it up to Ohioans to make the decision for themselves. But tell these people, tell people, we don't know. We're not sure. And that's, in my opinion, that's okay, because that's honesty.
Nobody knew. And
my parents
nobody
always taught me to be honest. Tell the truth. So, not to
cause a lot
of
problems.
Like you have all the answers and say, well, we don't have all the answers. This is what we're thinking. This is why we're thinking it. This is why we think it would help, and this is what we're recommending and why. However, we're in uncharted waters here. This is a novel virus. We're not sure where the origins are. Now we kind of have a better idea, and that's a whole nother issue for another day. But that's honest.
The coronavirus vaccine, Doug, we've talked about. I know, and I'm not going to disclose because I can't, but I do know a doctor of microbiology. That's been studied for 18 years. Now, it hasn't been studied for these variants. Okay, but there's been studies on this for vaccines and different things for 18 years. The different variants come up, and I think that should have been disclosed. Listen, we've been studying this for 18 years, but not on these variants. And you're right. Instead, what we had is Washington and the CDC saying, well, this is what you got to do. And then 2 weeks later, well, saying something totally different, like we forgot what they said 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Then the public's pissed off. And, and Mike DeWine's done a lot of that himself. I mean,
Yep.
with different situations. And it's pissed a lot of people off. I mean, he got power hungry. Go ahead, Doug. I'm sorry.
Just a question out of chat, and you may not know the answer to this. So, if you get a court date for something and you're not going to get the shot, you can't go into the courthouse.
Oh, I don't know. That the whole courthouse situation is an interesting situation, because there is a legal argument out there that judges have jurisdiction over their own courthouses. Now, I don't know that I disagree with that, but as of right now, we are interpreting a lot of that bill to apply for courts, and to my knowledge, no court in Ohio, or at least in our area, is making anyone get the shot.
Federal courts.
But I will say, truthfully, just like I'm going to hold up my word here, guys, I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right, and can we back up a moment to the schools?
Yeah.
So they went to the remote learning, and we're still paying the same taxes as if they were running. And this goes back to 2020 when they were out, and they were out for a long time. So nothing changed there. We still paid the same taxes. Then you've got a lot of people that decided to go to homeschooling, and they get no tax break. They still pay for that school, to use that school, and to keep that school running. Do you have any thoughts on either one of those?
Well, I think that hits on a great issue, and that issue is education funding in the state of Ohio, and how are we going to do that in the future? I think, so in this budget, we allowed for a lot of school choice. Now, in terms of homeschooling, my understanding is it does not apply to that, but it does apply to going to, other schools, charter schools or private schools. But I think that's a fundamental question that's worth reviewing as we go forward in the future. How are we going to fund education in Ohio? Is it going to be, are we going to be funding systems, or are we going to be allowing the kid and their parents to pick where they go and receive an education? And that's a great question, because again, those are all for those homeowners out there, or business owners that owns commercial property. Those are your tax dollars, So, we did include in this year's budget, we included a lot for education spending, and it's popular to say, that schools are underfunded and all that. But the reality is that when you go back in previous budgets, schools at the state level continue to be funded, and amounts are increased. So, not that I'm complaining about that, but
Right.
Those are the facts. So, at the state level, we've increased our funding, but we have an issue on the horizon that we have to deal with a very gray state, and seniors on fixed incomes, and essentially being priced out of their homes to some extent. So we do have to address that question. It hits on the school funding question. I like where that person's head is at. I think that's a really good issue that we need to be taking up in the legislature in future budgets.
Well, how is the state prison funded? Is it funded by person, or is it funded by just a budget? Here's what you got to work with.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. The prisons, I know the prisons are part of the state budget, but as far as the details from there, I'd have to go get the answer.
Yeah, because you see a lot of times where it costs this much to house a prisoner per year. And why isn't that broken down in the school system like that?
Right? No, well, I'm not gonna. It's a meritorious question. I kind of chuckle because we're comparing prisoners to students.
Yeah, well,
hey, some days when I was in school, that's how I felt. But it's a good question. Why can't you make that type of model work? I think it's one worth asking. If Ohioans would be better, Ohio kids would be better off that way. It would be a total overhaul of the current school funding formula. It would be dramatic, but hey, those are all, I think, as we go forward and people become more disgruntled with, their local option, they don't want to be forced into it. The outcry for that type of reform is going to continue to increase unless the local school districts kind of step up. So some of the school districts like to blame us at the state level for their issues. I understand. But some of these things are local issues that need to be worked out on a local level when it comes to different positions. So
Rick Young had a great question. Rick Young from down Shady Bull Speedway, Champaign County, that still hasn't got a phone call back from Nino. But anyways, how much I'm never going to forget that. I'm telling you. How much of the money from the lottery and casinos are given to the schools percentage? I know you probably don't know the exact answer, but pretty close.
I don't know the exact answer, but I know that it's short of what is usually expected. Right. So, when it comes to lottery and casinos, back, there was a constitutional amendment back in 06 or 08. Can't remember the exact year, but, usually those are short of what the projections were. So, it's not the best source of funding for schools, just to be honest.
Doug, you got anything else?
Yeah, I got two more things. Can you kind of recap the open carry bill?
Yeah, essentially right now. You mean permitless carry?
Yes.
Yeah. So, because right now in Ohio you can carry open without a permit.
Right.
But suddenly when your revolver goes in your pocket, you need a permit. So right now, permitless carry was voted on, approved by both the House and the Senate. There's some differences in the bills that need to be reconciled before going to the governor's desk. I believe that's going to occur here over the next month or two. And it will go to the governor's desk, and the governor has indicated that he would sign permitless carry in Ohio. It's also referred to as constitutional carry. And again, that's the Second Amendment right for individuals to defend themselves and defend their families, and that's something that I support.
And you did, we talked a little bit earlier, and you did kind of clarify one of the issues that we kept talking about was when a police officer pulls you over, should you let them know? And you said that it's kind of shifted on responsibility.
Yeah, so we're in that situation. You're talking about the duty to notify. So current law in Ohio says that if you're a CCW holder and you get pulled over by an officer, you have to let them know you have a weapon. And what we heard, the testimony that we heard in committee that was happening was, now keep in mind, you're already dealing with someone who went to get the permit to get the weapon in the first place. That's not what criminals do.
No.
They just go get the weapon. So the bad guys just go get the weapon. But the testimony we were hearing was that people would make an honest mistake of getting pulled over and not declaring they had the weapon, right out of the chute, and that could come with criminal sanctions. So it would be reconfigured under the new law, and we want to keep our officers safe, right? I mean, we don't want to put them in a bad situation either. So, you got to understand, where we're coming from as a part, as conservatives, we want to back the police here, but we also want to acknowledge the clear Second Amendment rights. So how it stands under the bill is that if an officer approached you, it's not your obligation to declare anymore, but the officer can say, are you carrying, you have a weapon on you? And you either have to answer yes, no, or, I want to speak to my attorney, which is also your constitutional right to do. So it's not your burden anymore to declare that you have a weapon. It falls to, the responding officer. However, you are required to answer their question one way or the other, or say that, you'd like to exercise your right to an attorney. So that's where it's at under the bill. And that's I do expect that will go to the governor's desk, and he has said that he will sign.
See, that clarifies, Doug, our whole question, because we're getting information, and we didn't have, the bill that you did not have to let them know regardless. And I was dead set against that. But now, if the officer asks you, that makes a lot more sense to me, don't it, you, Doug?
Yeah. And you can always, roll down your window and say, hey, I have a weapon, and it's all over.
That's the first thing I'd do.
Yeah. But
it goes a different. DJ, I appreciate you coming on.
I want to ask one more question. Can I, Chris?
Right.
Can I, please?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, whatever.
We have over 500 and some immigrant families coming to Ohio. Are you aware of that?
So the immigrant situation was an interesting one that I really didn't know anything about before taking office. And it's honestly one that I'm still learning and trying to learn quickly. So my understanding is that every state is part of an agreement to take on a certain amount of refugees annually. And that's a federal level decision. Now, I think a couple years back, President Trump allowed states to opt out if they so chose, but the agreement was still in place. My understanding again is that those refugees are usually taken to predetermined sites where individuals can, they're not just released out. They're usually taken to, my understanding was that Ohio had some Afghanistan refugees, but they were taken to more like military style barracks where, they could be accounted for. Whether we do that in the future, that's a question worth asking. My concern is more about our southern border right now in terms of getting that secured, because, I don't have any control over that. We did send, the governor did send Ohio National Guard troops down to help out with the border issue, which I thought was a good move. But the reason it's so important to secure our southern border is because of the drugs that come into our community. If you ask any sheriff in Ohio, where did the drugs come from? Where's fentanyl coming from? They will tell you it's coming from our southern border and it's coming from China. Those two places. So border security, anyone running for federal office, it has to be a part of their platform, border security. So I'll continue to look up the immigrant issue in Ohio, but that's what I did learn when I asked about it. So some of that again is out of my hands. I have no control over that. But constituents still want to know what's going on. They have a right to know, and for that reason, I try to do the research and get answers as best I can. Because
still tax dollars are paying to keep them there, right?
Yep, okay. There are, yeah, and I think as we see, the rest of the world disrespecting us and not working with us, those are things that we reevaluate. Is this something that we should really be doing going forward? So I'm not a part of those decisions. I usually try to stay focused on what I can control. But again, that's probably a better issue for the Ohio Senate race or any congressional race in this area. So
Teresa's running for U.S. Congress, huh?
Well, we don't know right now because the congressional maps all got thrown out. So the state house maps got thrown out. They were redrawn yesterday. We'll see if they survive
who's appealing
challenge, and the congressional maps are also going to have to be redrawn. So, those Supreme Court races are important. You gotta research the judges and see if they interpret the law according to the plain text of the law, or if they're going to read a little more into it than that and kind of do what they think gets them the outcome they want. And I tell you what, we have a great justice running for Chief Justice Sharon Kennedy. She is fantastic. In my opinion, probably one of the best speakers in Ohio right now as far as politicians go. I mean, the judge isn't really a politician, but in our Republican Party, she gets it. And she's awesome to listen to. She works hard. She's going around the state right now. I'm sure she'll be through Erie, Ottawa, or Huron counties again soon. But if you have a chance to meet her, you should, and help her out to win her race this fall. I mean, we need to get people like that on our Supreme Court, because they're going to uphold the law as it's written. They're going to uphold the Constitution as it's written, and they're not going to let it be subject to politics and playing any games. So
who's appealing the redistricting?
Well, I'm glad you asked about that. We got off the Made in America track, didn't we?
yeah, we sure did. Sorry about that.
Well, so here's the reality. This is all being done in plain sight, and Ohioans should know about this. So Eric Holder and President Obama have formed a super PAC. Okay. So they go into key states and they put money behind Supreme Court justice candidates. They backed Jennifer Brunner to beat Judy French in 2020. And it was done again. It was done in plain sight. If you go through Jennifer Brunner's Twitter page, it shows Eric Holder's coming here to do a fundraiser for me. Please come out and support, which she's allowed to say. There's nothing. I'm not saying she did anything wrong. But those guys strategically go from state to state, put money behind state judges. Okay. And, now at the time, Ohio didn't have R's and D's after the judicial candidate's name. So you didn't know who was backed by which party or which donor, or, you didn't know Eric Holder was involved at all, quite frankly, because no one talked about it. But he has set up a special interest group that sued over these maps. And they sued to the Ohio Supreme Court. So it's those groups that have all kind of banded together to file court cases over the maps. The Ohio Democratic Party was one. Eric Holder's group was another. And there were a couple others that tried to get the maps thrown out. And guess what? They succeeded the first time around. We'll see what happens the second time. So you can look all that up. No. There's no hiding the ball on that. It's very easy to, go to Eric Holder's group. It's the National Democratic Redistricting Committee, and it's out there for public consumption. So
I'm sure Doug will be looking that up.
I sure will.
Yeah.
Made in the USA.
Right. Yeah. So I'll leave you with that one. So, back to made in the USA, we started on the education path, right? And then we got off track, but it's fun to get off track with you guys, so I don't have any problem with that. But we got to have an educated workforce in terms of skill sets and everything like that. But the other components are infrastructure. I mean, airports, roadways, ports, sewer and water infrastructure. Not only for commercial property, but that goes to residents as well. You look at people's water bills and it's just off the charts. And actually a lot of that is because the federal EPA comes in and tells a village, township, municipality, whatever, whoever has water, you got to do X, Y, and Z. Well, that local political subdivision doesn't have any choice. They got to do what the EPA says. And that drives up the cost of, water and the sewer and water infrastructure. So, one of the things we are looking at doing is setting up grant programs in Ohio for those municipalities or townships or villages that were subject to some sort of EPA directive, and allow them the ability to pay that down and pass that savings on to their residents. But sewer and water infrastructure is a big deal. And when you have someone either starting a business up or moving their business back to the USA, they're going to look at infrastructure. Taxes have to be low. I think we all know that. But then you got to get the government out of the way in terms of the bloated bureaucracy that we can tend to have. It's some people in the bureaucracy, they've been there, 30, 40 years, and this is their kingdom. You're on their turf. So there's a tendency there to meddle and get in the way. Sometimes there isn't, and which is good. But again, to me, that all comes back to funding. Are we funding this? Are we continuing? If we see excess funds, are we looking to spend them, or are we looking to cut them out of the budget and return them back to the taxpayers? Because I think we can all agree we let government get too big and too in our face. We saw how that wound up for us the last 2 years. So keeping government out of the way is a big deal. But we do want to fund the right things when it comes to police and fire. People want to live in safe communities, and businesses are no different when they're reshoring. So they're going to look for communities that are safe, where their investment's going to be protected. So you got to have great first responders, and that does take us coming together to pay for that. Now, I think we can all agree, police and fire, those are all things that, we need to support our first responders to make our communities safer. I think we're all happy to do that. But that is a component, when you're looking to move jobs back to the States, are you going to be able to provide services and protect these businesses and their employees? So that's also a big part of it too. But happy to be here, guys. This was fun. We went into a lot there.
It's always
we have ADD.
Yeah, it's always great talking with you. I really do appreciate, whenever I text you or message, we talk. I mean, that's what a elected politician should do with its constituents, and anything we can do, I'll be in touch with you. I'm looking at a rally sometime in April with a few people. I'll get in touch with you offline about that, but thank you for everything you do for our district. It's greatly appreciated.
No, I appreciate it, guys. And we do have, I don't say this, just we do have a great district. I mean, when you look at it, there's so many great things that go on. I mean, we've got a great farming community. We still have industry. And then, we have the tourist aspect of our district with the islands and the lake. There's truly nothing like it in the state of Ohio. And, despite all that goes around us with things we don't like, there's still, I think, a lot we can be thankful for and have a lot of gratitude for in terms of our area and, the community and the people that live here. And, there's a lot of people in our area who want to see this place succeed, which, representing it is evident. And, when times get tough, I try to focus on those folks. So yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, DJ.
Appreciate it.
All right. We'll see you.
Keep up the fight.
Yeah. We'll see you guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Wow.
There you go.
I could have asked a lot of questions.
Yeah, but
it's good to hear it from somebody who's in the game and knows what's going on. And
right. They clarified something. He clarified the gun bill. I mean, because we had information. You didn't have to notify them or tell them. It didn't matter, and that's not the case.
Right.
If they ask you, you have to tell them.
Yes.
And well, should be. If you lie, there's criminal repercussions.
Right.
And
so you have 3 answers: yes, no, or I want a
lawyer. And if you got a lawyer, you'll be talking to him down at the police station.
Sure.
Rightfully so. I mean, if I sit there and tell a cop,
I want to talk to my lawyer.
I need my lawyer present. Okay, you come on down to the station then, and we'll, why wouldn't you as a police officer? You're not going to let the guy just go on because there's something else involved, So,
right.
Good guy. I mean, I wouldn't want their jobs.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Can't please every, especially if you're late in the loafers. You can't take hearing people bashing you because you did this or did that, and
you can't have feelings.
Right. Like
You know,
you at race time, no feelings
no
whatsoever.
feelings at all, but not at all. But the thing of it is, we've said, and I've told him, I don't agree with every decision he backs, but
Mhm.
the point of voting for a person like this, Takeda, Blystone, and that, they're not always going to make a decision that you understand and agree with, but if you know that they're making decisions for the best interest of us, the people, not a special interest group, I can live with that. You know what I'm saying? It's unlike me, where I always make all the right decisions, Doug. And,
Right. Yeah. Like last night.
yeah,
There are
it was,
pictures and
well,
videos out there somewhere.
sometimes.
You can see it. It's on Facebook.
Nah, there isn't.
Yes, there is.
So, what else do we have on the agenda?
Well, so in this is really crazy. So in order to get through the airport, you gotta go through TSA, their checkpoint, and you have to prove yourself to be who you are. So you have to have your ticket, your driver's license or ID.
I gotta have a driver's license
or ID.
Okay. I'm just clarifying that I have to have a ID or driver's license to get on a plane.
Yes.
Okay.
But if you are an illegal alien or what is it?
Undocumented.
The only thing you need to get through TSA is your arrest warrant.
What?
That's the truth.
Arrest warrant.
Yep. So if you've been arrested,
So here's my arrest warrant. I
Yes.
got to be in court here.
No. So you got arrested. There's a warrant for you. You go do your whatever, and they tell you to get the hell out. Then you take that, and you can get through TSA with it. Chris looks a little sore tonight, probably from being on the ground. Hey, Ohio Strong, hashtag Ohio Strong is our hashtag tonight.
Yes. Get that in there, people. Hashtag Ohio Strong. Hey, so let's just back up.
Okay.
I'm a citizen of the United States, and I have to have my ID, pictured ID, to get on that plane.
Yeah.
But if I'm an undocumented immigrant,
yes,
all I got to show is my arrest warrant.
Yes.
And this is okay with all
everybody.
the politicians.
Yeah, everybody's okay with that. Yes.
But to have a pictured ID to vote isn't.
There you go. There you go. That's
This so screwed up. I'm trying not to say the F word, but
All right. So I try, as you try not to cuss, which never happens. I try not to bring in school stuff on our show, but
which never happens.
Right. There's always one out there. And this one happens to be in Lorraine.
Again?
Did we do one? Did we do a Lorraine before?
A couple weeks ago, don't you remember? They made that girl eat her food that she threw away out of the trash can.
That's what I have here, but this one is from January 20th.
So it happened again?
Yeah, but it was a waffle. So I don't know what's going on here, but
it's the same one then. It might have went to court.
No, it's Ohio families. It's painful to watch the video. 9-year-old girl. They did fire the attendant, the
teacher,
cafeteria person,
manager, or whatever,
assistant, whatever she was.
Yeah.
And what the assistant said was it was a packaged, like something packaged, and she mistakenly threw it away.
Hey, that's what I wonder too, Rick.
What's that?
How or why does a broke-ass illegal need to be flying anywhere? Well, because Biden's moving them to a different state.
Right now, there was another thing that we learned tonight.
oh, you're in Northern Ohio and it's 5 degrees and you're used to hot temperatures down there. Oh,
We've got sunny Florida.
We'll put you on a plane and move you to just show your arrest warrant. They'll let you right on it.
Just tell them where you want to go, what
Yeah.
temperature you like.
It's on us. I'm trying not, Rick. I'm trying not to flip out over that because I just.
But but we learned something. I did not know that we were into some sort of thing with the government that we have to take somebody.
I told you that.
Did you?
I told you that a month and a half ago, or whatever, when I talked to him about this, DJ about this.
Yeah.
About the Afghans coming.
You didn't share it with us.
And he said, remember, I said there was 2. Yeah, I told you. There's 2 states that opted out.
He really just tries to get me to believe it. Go ahead, say it again. I told you.
I'm telling you.
I'm telling you. Go back and watch it, Doug.
I said to you. No, I didn't say it on air.
So we all
already too much. Yeah. And what it is federal government.
You came on a little bit late.
Yeah. DJ Swearingen was on for an hour. We started early. I forgot to send her the memo. Oh, I sent her a thing. Regardless, it's like Rick says. Where are they flying to? No, I am trying not to.
I agree with that.
Where are they flying to?
Did you ever pick up an ox?
Doug did last night. Where are they flying off to, though, Rick? I agree with you. Where the hell are they flying to? They come over supposedly as an undocumented immigrant, because can't say illegal alien no more. Oh my God, we might hurt their feelings.
Right.
But as an undocumented immigrant, and we're hearing, am I wrong or right? We're hearing all they got's clothes on their back, no money, anything. Where the hell did they get money to buy a plane ticket?
Well, apparently we're subsidizing it because each state has their allocation of them. So
no, that's refugees. It's 2 different. It's 2 separate things. The refugees coming from Afghanistan are refugees. That's what the state. These are undocumented immigrants.
Yeah, but I don't know that we want them working there with our people not working.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is none of our people want to work. You heard it. He even said it.
I don't know where they're flying them to, actually. It's just...
It would, Joe. Right back over. There you go.
You wanted to go where?
Yeah, take your arrest warrant with you. Why is this plane full of undocumented immigrants? There's no reason.
Here's the thing. They're taking a seat from you. They're taking a seat from somebody who needs it to go somewhere or whatever.
That actually had money to pay for it. Instead, we're all paying for it. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're absolutely right. I want to show you something.
A crock of shit. Unbelievable. And this is all the shit that's sneaking through back door and people don't know. Now, you know what, Lord, we can't do that because, we might hurt their feelings. Instead, we spend I'm not going to ever come off this, people. $83 million went out to put a bunch of them up in a hotel because it might get cold tonight. Let me tell you what, it's supposed to go down to 5 degrees tonight in Cleveland, Ohio. How many homeless veterans, homeless people is our federal government coming and saying, you know what, go down to Holiday Inn, this is on us tonight.
Right.
Take a warm bath, clean up, warm bed, we'll send you up a meal. None. Yeah, we paid for the receipt, trust me. We all our tax money pays for that. And I like what he said. They got, what did he say, $75 billion budget in Ohio?
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
Why?
He's trying to figure that out.
Guys like this need to stay in office, people. I mean, we've had 2 guys on in the last 2 weeks, Doug. Mark Picata running for U.S. Senate, and DJ Swearingen running for State Representative, get reelected.
Right.
Now, I don't know, I'm sure we all heard politicians come on and talk. And they talk a line of shit a mile long and make you sound like they're one of the good old boys and they're coming to your house saying, and we're in Mayberry, the Andy Griffith Show, and eating dinner with Aunt B tonight. And trust me, a lot of them aren't that way. These two, me and Doug have had conversations with them several times. And what you hear on here is what you get off of here, Doug.
Right.
It's Greg brought it up to me. Greg sent me a message after the show last week. And I'll re-say it, Greg, so everybody can listen close to what I'm saying. You vote how you want to vote. I'll never tell you how to vote. I'll tell you what I think you should and what's best, but at the end of the day, it's your decision. One thing you need to look at before you go to the polls and vote for a politician. If the Republican side, if he's a Republican and the Republican side's against him and giving him shit, and the Democrats sure giving him shit, why? Because he's not in with the special interests. That's the guy you need to look at. Same with the Democrat. Now, I can't believe I'm saying this right now. I'm still registered at, but if the Democratic Party does not like a guy and the Republican, you got to look at these types of guys. You got to look at these types of guys. They're not in with the special interests. That's why that party don't want them getting in. Yeah, Trump put him in a hotel. I mean, he's a different case, though. This shit with China and Russia, when you once again, I said it last week. Y'all better take a good close look at Ukraine and what goes on there. What you should be more worried about is the fact that if Russia does go in there and starts fighting and we don't put a step on it or do something, which Biden's not, he's just I'm going to put sanctions on you. You can guarantee within 6 months, Taiwan will be completely under Chinese control. That's who you need to look at, Doug. China's sitting back going, we'll wait and see. If they don't do nothing, we're taking Taiwan. Piss on it.
Right.
We're next, Chris. Yeah, you're right. I don't doubt that because you got a president that backs down. I mean, we send negotiators over and come back. Well, it didn't go good. We're going to go back next week. Trump would have went over him. So it wouldn't have been negotiators. Trump would have called putting up, said we need to sit down and meet. And it would have been him and him, face to face.
Yeah.
And it would have been settled by now, Doug.
Yep.
Instead, we pussyfoot around and not paying attention with Iran, China, and Russia all doing naval exercises together. You better wake up. Huh? Am I wrong?
Right. You're right. Did you watch Kamala Harris's train wreck interview last week?
No.
Well, I have it for you.
This ought to be good.
This is really good. So,
did she laugh?
No, she was, I think, really way out of her league in this interview.
She was out of her league when she got sworn in as vice president, but whatever.
At what point does the administration say, you know what, this strategy isn't working, we're going to change strategies? 6 former administration officials last week wrote that open letter urging the administration to change course, to change strategy. Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree that there are things and tools that are available to us to slow this thing down.
This is really like a Zen koan. I'm going to repeat it. It is time for us to do what we've been doing, and that time is every day.
What'd she say? That
Yeah.
time is come, and that time
Is
now.
now to
and
do
that
what we've been
time
doing.
Is every day. The time
To
is
do what we've been doing.
What have they been doing? Let's go back a couple weeks ago when Biden had conference calls with the governors of every state. What did he say? Well, we didn't expect this. I have no solution. You guys are on your own. What's her response? Well, that time's now to do what we've been doing every day. What have you been doing? That's the question. What have you been doing? And
the one piece that they did not put on there was he asked her about the 2024 ticket and if she was going to be on it.
What'd she say?
Oh my God. She just went, we're not at the point of talking about the 2024 ticket. We have pressing matters at hand that we need to take care of. And that's what we're focused on. So,
but they're not fixing anything.
No, they're not. They're not going to.
They're not fixing anything.
No, but if you watch Biden,
how'd that sanction, lifting the sanction off Russia to continue the pipeline through Germany, how'd that work out?
Yeah.
What it did was drove the price of oil down. It's drove the price. They can charge what they want. We don't have we shut ours down. Price of oil's going up. Kevy told me that. Me and Kevy talking. Believe it or not, Kevy, he keeps up on a lot of this.
Yeah.
And it's like he said, the minute the prices started going up, because we shut off a lot of shit, Biden in the United States, Russia just gained a lot of money, Doug.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of play money. Because it's all Russia's. That goes to the government. So everything he's done since January 20th of 21 has had a very negative effect on this country. Very negative effect. He's done nothing positive. And her, that one post is right. They keep her in the back closet. I mean, that's all they do. She should have been. What happened? I thought they were going to Article 25 her. Remember that? They were talking about an Article 25 on her?
I was just thinking about my text yesterday to Kevin. I don't know. I think it just fell flat. Nobody knows what to do.
I said this to you, and I'll say it on here. I might have said it last week. Has anybody seen Nancy Pelosi in the headlines lately?
No.
She's been giving speeches every other day. Anybody seen her? Even she's smart enough to know this is bad. You know, this is bad. I'm not jumping on this ship. You know?
Right.
Yep. Uh-oh. Everyone here, the Republicans in Congress, Senate.
Nope. Everybody's happy.
Oh.
All right.
Well, the one Republican did come out. Hashtag
did say
Ohio
what?
Strong.
Hashtag
Ohio Strong.
All right, go ahead and talk.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I stopped you in mid-sentence, and then you went Ohio hashtag, so I wanted you to finish it. So, you don't know. All right. You're too cloudy. You had too much to drink.
No, I'm fine. I'm just trying to maintain a level of control because I'm one step away from just having a major meltdown, and I haven't said that word all show.
Over what?
Because the stupidity that we got in this country. That's over what. All right, Big D's Pizza.
Hashtag Ohio Strong.
Large 2-item pizza, 2-liter Pepsi product.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you'll see him running 24, Rick.
Who's that Trump? I don't think so either.
I think you'll see DeSantis.
And I think you'll have Trump will back somebody and be right there with them the whole campaign, but I don't think you're going to see him run. He does have some problems coming.
Who, Trump?
Mm-hmm.
What?
It's civil stuff, so it's going to be fined and stuff like that, but it's over stuff in his company.
Oh, yeah, I want to see DeSantis and Candace Owens.
That'd be a nice ticket.
I'd love to see that ticket go up. Okay, hashtag Ohio Strong. Big D's Pizza, Dean Henry, Clyde, Ohio. They got great food. Great food.
Yes. Where were we talking about that?
Where?
Big D's.
We talk about it twice a week.
Oh, yeah, I know. But I think it was yesterday at the banquet or something.
I don't know. I don't remember. I can't recall.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Hashtag Crown Royal. Don't drink it.
Yeah, or you'll become a big ox on the floor. All right.
All right, here we go.
Here we go.
Oh, my son won.
Aaron, all right. Chris, you got another pizza.
There you go. Well, when he comes up, he's supposed to be coming up next couple weeks. So
all right, you'll take a trip.
He'll be driving up after he eats it.
Now you have 2 weeks to get it.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Aaron will be calling me after he eats their pizza. Yeah, I was just in Clyde heading back to what? Yeah, come on. You couldn't come see me? I wanted a pizza.
Brought the family up for dinner.
Brought the family. You know what? We'll do that. Dean, if you're watching, we'll do like we've done on some other ones. Give it to a veteran over there that you know. So
thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. See, I didn't do too bad.
You won't sleep tonight, but you didn't do too bad.
No, I'm talking. It's my son. See how he is.
Okay? You're talking now. You're talking about your fatherly traits.
Yeah. Aaron don't want to hear me call him after. What the hell's wrong with you?
Right. You make money. You got a job. You got a good family, and you couldn't give a pizza to it.
He's avoiding one of them lecture phone calls.
Right. You know, there's people out there that serve this country living under a bridge.
All right, Doug. What else you want to go over? Anything? We've been on for a while.
No, well, let's just briefly talk about this. We've been on for a while. Carhartt. So they mandate that their employees. Yeah, I can only imagine. They mandate that their employees get the vaccine, but their items are shipped in from overseas, but they don't have to be vaccinated. So now there's a big push to boycott Carhartt.
Listen,
tell me,
you do what you want; it's your money. But when you go buy Carhartts, work boots like Red Wings, for example, there's a tag that'll be on them with the flag, little flag, made in the USA. There's a lot of these made in the USA, a lot of them made overseas. I don't even know if they lower the price on the ones overseas anymore. They used to. Carolina boots. I used to wear Carolina work boots. What's $10-$20 cost you on a $150, $200 work boot, Doug? Buy the made in the United States. The Carhartt brands, buy the ones that got made in the United States. It's simple.
That's where DJ was kind of going. You know, we got to start shopping here.
Start shopping at home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I just said, Russia, China, and Iran are doing naval exercises. You know what's going to come.
Okay, we won't see Greg Miller next week.
What did he say?
Hey, we did want to talk about that. Go ahead and finish your point, but we do want to talk about what happened last week. Right at the end
go
of the
ahead.
show.
Go ahead.
Well, we were on the show, and was it just as we got off?
It
or
was
5 minutes before we ended?
5 minutes before we got it, I got the text as we were getting ready to get off.
Because the comment was tranny. We were talking about cars and motors and.
No, we were talking about.
Oh yeah, bring it up.
Open a door,
yeah.
And I made the comment. Well, what if you have a transsexual? You know, and tranny was the only word said in the comment section, and it bought him 3 days. Facebook jail. How the fuck did I blew it? How the hell does Facebook determine what he meant by that comment, Doug?
Don't put yourself back in jail.
You know, how do they determine what he meant?
I mean, the only way they could is if they were listening to our conversation and then seeing it. But if they're just looking at scripts,
but here it comes down to what we were talking about with the Microsoft Word last week.
Yeah,
it changes. It assumes one thing,
right?
And that's what Facebook's doing. Assuming. Look up the word tranny in the dictionary. It could mean several different things. Hey, you're right. It happened right away. I mean, because he sent me a text, you know, and then, you know, I'm sure Facebook didn't like our post up. We wanted you all to send Chaz, you know, some commissary money, and you know,
right.
But this is happening too often on our show, especially. People, you know, are getting 3 days, 30. Rob Cisco, he can't even say, you know, I went in the bathroom, took a poop, and it was crossways, and I don't know whose fault it. Boom, he gets 30 days. He spent more time in Facebook jail this year than he has off. You know, and Chaz goes in and says one word, Tranny, and he gets 3 days. Now, Facebook, because we know you watch, and everybody thinks, you know, when we started saying they're watching our shit, Doug, YouTube's another one. YouTube watches our shit. Trust me. Go try to get on the YouTube. I just had this conversation today, and I think, or yesterday, and I was telling Doug yesterday, and you can't find it hardly. You got to really look for it. So, where do they determine what words can be allowed and not be allowed when there's a couple different meanings to that word, Doug?
Right.
You know, I don't
and
get
honestly, it is unacceptable because it's everywhere.
But the federal government can put in queer, the word queer, in documented bill.
Does anybody want to try and put transsexual in and see if you get kicked off?
Yeah, I mean, what's the difference? I mean,
right. It's short for that too.
It's an abbreviation of
Amy went
transsexual.
away for
Yeah,
30
she was
days.
out 30 days. We're sorry. You should have told us. We'd have sent you some commissary money too.
Right.
But where does Facebook get off on and YouTube too, for that matter? Because we've gone through it with YouTube, and we're getting squashed down by YouTube, and now y'all starting to believe me. You know, we started bitching about this shit. What, Doug? 7 months, 8 months ago. That they were diluting us down. Yeah, you're right, Aaron. That's the biggest thing. He says it a couple different times on TV. Nothing. You don't even hear the media going crazy about it. But Chaz Clark says tranny.
You ask the Japanese, they will tell you.
They're the fact finders. They're the ones watching this shit. I'm telling you, Candace Owens exposed that. Remember?
Yeah.
Remember, Candace Owens exposed it. But I want to know how Facebook gets off determining what he meant. Chaz worked around racing for years, worked on Gary Saint-Amant's cars, everything else. You know, he's a mechanic. He's been around. He could have been talking about a transmission.
So they believe that it targeted a protected class.
How did that target anything when they call themselves that?
Well, yeah, but like, what are they? Religion?
Tammy got beat up a little on Facebook too. Some of her posts, she got hidden. You know, you get that thing. You're not in jail yet, but your posts are going way down the ladder, so people can't read them.
That's what happens to us.
Yeah, that's what happens to us. I mean,
you guys are going
piss on Facebook. You know, you can put out there all the bullshit that let's just take President Trump for a minute. All the people said all they wanted to say about Trump. Say anything. Facebook didn't do a damn thing. They start saying shit. Remember Biden talking to me incoherent? So boom, you were getting warnings and shit. Chaz puts up there tranny. There, Facebook, you dumbasses. I said it 3 times in a row. I've said it probably 7 times.
All right, we'll let you know when our next show is in a couple months.
So, you know, how do they know what the determination is?
Well, he appealed it.
And they rejected. And whatever. You know, I mean, I'm not sure how I haven't got booted. I don't know. Chaz asked me, how did you not get booted? I don't know, Chaz. I don't know. Some of the shit I've said is a hell of a lot worse than that. You know, yeah, I'll be gone. I don't care. You know,
that's why the screen will be all dark.
Yeah, all of a sudden, poof. and they've done that. I thought I've gotten kicked out. Remember? At one time I was 4 times. Yeah. And I finally didn't say anything about Facebook, and I was allowed to stay back on. Whatever. You know, they can kiss my ass. It's turning into a communist state where you can't write in a chat room, and it's real simple. This isn't like a chat room that the whole public can see. They got to come in, click into this room, and watch this. And they can't. You can't write something on a comment section without you assholes busting them. And I brought it up beginning of the show. Be careful what you write over there. The Facebook police is watching. You know, it's pathetic. Pathetic. Whatever. For 30 days, I couldn't buy anything, comment, like anything, nothing. The deal with them is like trying to convince my dad to change his mind when I was a kid. You ain't shitting. You can appeal. It's like medical. We think you may have given medical misinformation. We think.
All right.
We appealed to that. It didn't matter, did it, Doug?
We lost a whole country.
We lost Japan.
We're
under investigation in Russia and China. Oh boy.
Yeah. So the Japanese are not allowed to watch because they played a clip of Obama and a late night talk show host talking.
No, it was Donald. Yeah. That reporter Donald. What's his name? Oh shit. Can't think. Yeah. And we didn't play nothing. It was on NBC.
And it was on
we played
YouTube.
it. Yeah, we played a clip that NBC had that was on YouTube, and we got nailed.
All right.
Whatever. You know,
the Japanese government.
But yeah, like Japan. Japan's just sitting over going,
see why you guys aren't on?
Yeah. Say some more dumb shit.
Right.
You guys will be speaking Japanese pretty soon. We'll let you back in the country.
Right.
Other than that, you know, we hope having some of these people on to talk, you know, shows you the actual people that you know we support, and we will support, continue to support. Once again, we're looking at having a rally in April for Mark Pagita, Blystone, Swearingen, you know, and a few of these guys that are running for office. Cavarone, if one that I'll see once again. Yeah. He told me something I didn't know. Holder and Obama are behind that whole redistricting.
Yeah.
And that's a shame. And you know, Gavarone's waiting on to see what happens to that. She's going to run for U.S. Congress. So it track probably, Aaron. I don't know. It's to be determined yet. We're looking for a place, but probably have a track. But April and Ohio. Am I allowed to say Ohio weather in April is bipolar, or is that going to offend somebody?
I think weather is the safest thing you could talk about.
I don't know. You know,
unless unless you're lying.
Well, so we'll plan that out. Other than that, anybody else? You got anything, Doug?
No, I think we've done did ourselves in this time.
We did ourselves in. Yeah, we might see you next week. Might not see anybody for a few days on Facebook, but I don't care. I still want Facebook to determine and tell us how, because a man puts tranny up in a comment section, that's in violation when they do not have the clear meaning to what it's meaning.
Right.
So Chaz, quit talking about car parts on the
comment
section. Lord forbid if you put, you know, rear end in there. I took the cap off my rear end, had to put some fluid in it. Oh, you're done.
That thing is a guzzler.
Yeah, that thing just eats I took this long tube of fluid and put it in the rear end.
Yeah, just my rear end takes a lot of grease.
Yeah, it was when the last bit of grease come out, it made a good pop, and I knew I was. Is that white grease? Oh, Lord forbid, that'll open another subject, huh?
Yeah.
What kind of rear end oil do you have? Oh, you know, wasn't KY, so I'm safe.
Right. But boy, my rear end eats a lot of grease.
Yeah, it was running hot. I was a little dry. It was running hot.
Right.
All right. I see y'all, people. Thanks for watching. Hopefully see you next week. Who knows? Remember, research your politicians. And just like DJ said, research the judge coming up for election. What was it? Kennedy, I believe was her name.
Yeah. We'll have to get her on.
We'll
ask the legal questions.
Yeah. So, all right, people. God bless y'all. Hope you have a good night. God bless America. Thank you.
I hope to see you next week.
Hopefully. Don't talk about training or ends.